It is a dream of the anti-refugee that we need to help ourselves, and we need to be self-support. We need to be good contributor of the country of America here too. Not only my dream, but every single refugee have the dream like that.
Their culture is, I know, very, very different from ours. But I think that we should make things easy as we can for them. And I like the idea of them working and doing things that they know themselves. Because I think that lots of times we expect new people to do things so foreign to them.
To me, I'm not one that believes in unemployment, people sitting around doing nothing. I like to see people earning, that they're willing to work with their hands or whatever way they have to make a living. And it seems like these people are willing to do that. And it makes you feel good to see that every day.
It would be nice, it would be wonderful. And it is my dream that a lot of them can be self-sufficient farmers and producers of food. But that may not be the total key or the total bottom line success story of the project.
For me to get into the project, first I felt that I could not get a job in the American industry. Secondly, I want to demonstrate to my children that I'm not a lazy person. I still like to work and fight for my life here.
Chu Yang and his family are involved in a unique agricultural training and business project begun in the spring of 1983. The project, sponsored by the University of Minnesota's Agricultural Extension Service, now involves over 50 refugee families, combining field work and marketing during the growing season with educational classes in the winter months. The project, called the Minnesota Agricultural Enterprise for New Americans, was established to help refugees like Chu learn the American farming system and hopefully become self-sufficient.
This project is very useful to me and also very useful to other members of the cooperative. It also helped me to educate my children at home. They see I involved in a project very early and come home very late.
Chu and his wife Year Lee are Hmong refugees. The Hmong lived on the foothills of Laos as an agrarian society and managed small farming plots designed to yield just enough food for the family. Xang Vang, another Hmong refugee, is now a member of the staff on the agricultural project.
Back in Southeast Asia, in my home country, most of the people have only the experience of slash and burning agriculture. That means people chop the trees and the bush down and let it dry and then burn. After burning, then they can just go and grow seeds into the ground. Mostly handiwork, not mechanical work. It is totally different from the American agriculture.
The tranquility of these peaceful foothills was broken by the Southeast Asian conflict of the 60s and 70s. Xang Vang was one of many Hmong in Laos whose life was changed forever by the war.
During the war, Laos was a neutral country, and the U.S. could not send any of their own combat troops to fight. And with the Hmong or Highlander people were recruited to fight against the North Vietnamese communists, who were penetrating into Laos and also to help pick up American pilots.
Following the withdrawal of the U.S. troops and the displacement of the Hmong people, Chu Yang, Yer Li, and their family applied for and were accepted as refugees to the United States, eventually settling in Minnesota.
I found myself that I have been so many different English classes and also many different career training. But I have been hunting for a job for a long time. I couldn't find a job that I couldn't perform any place, anywhere. I go for a job, they say they'll call me back, and they never call me. That's why I joined in talking with my friends, and I decided to come and join the project.
Besides the difficulty of finding work, adjusting to the American way of life was a major challenge for Yer Li and Chu Yang.
I found myself that shopping in this country is very different from shopping in my country. When I arrive here, all the produce and other food are packed in boxes. I don't really know what's in the boxes here.
Over here, they just stick the price on the package. And because I can't ask what is that price, it's hard for me to know how much to spend. We don't have a lot of time to prepare the food and take time when you have a dinner like this. But somehow I feel we are trying to adapt to the American culture, which require you to do things fast. And now you can see here we are not doing as slow as back home.
When I found my family being side by side with me on the couch in the living room like this, I feel very proud of it.
I feel very proud when the food is cooked and on the table. I call all of the children come over, taking their place and get ready to eat. But sometimes I have a very bad thought that I run out of money and I don't have money to pay my bill.
I feel myself that supporting the family over here is much more difficult because a person like me who had very limited educational background could not find a job to generate enough money to cover the expense of the family. I don't have to worry about a lot of income. I just work hard on the farm and bring home enough food and vegetables. That's all I am concerned. So I think back home is much more simpler.
With traditional hand tools, 36 Hmong families planted the first seeds of the farm. With them was field coordinator and educational director Karen Gensmer.
The Hmong people have brought with them a very strong sense of independence, of self-sufficiency, of being able to take care of themselves and earn enough for their own families to live. And they also have a very wonderful pride in who they are as a people. And I think that these are some things that are going to enable them to become independent, self-sufficient farmers.
The farm began with a high element of risk. One of the risk takers and the coordinator of the project's first year, County Extension Director Warren Sifrith.
We've got to be willing to take risks because some of the people that are in the greatest need for help are people that we have to use very different kinds of methods of education. We have to be willing to try things that we're not sure they're going to work. But we do have the ability to bring the resources of a huge university and to bear on a problem. And that in itself is tremendous because in spite of every kind of problem that comes along, there is somewhere within the university system someone to help in that situation.
Farmington, Minnesota. Population 5,000. Primary industry, agriculture.
Well, we were very concerned about the impact it would have on the community, especially when an announcement is made that a major university and a public organization is going to work with refugee group. And I expected our people to respond positively if they had the right information, and they did. And I think many times reactions or poor reactions come from lack of information or people anticipating things that aren't really going to happen. And we tried to eliminate that.
Chu Yang and the other farm families struggled together through the first growing season.
First year was chaotic, traumatic, distressing, frustrating, all of those things, and yet rewarding. Because what we tried the first year was a testing stage to test, could we in fact work with these people? Could we work with the Hmong? Could the Hmong in fact learn from us? Could they change? Could they adjust? Could they adapt?
Part of the reward was found at local farmers markets. But wholesalers with a keen sense for quality food soon became interested in the products of the new American farmers.
We were quite well satisfied with the quality that they had, and the main thing is that if we are going to sell fresh produce, it's got to be in acceptable form and readily marketable at a marketable price. The packages that we had in from them are very acceptable. We moved a fair amount of it, and good, favorable comments from it. We're always willing to cooperate with people in a new venture because that's the way new ideas are formulated.
Although the challenges of the business were great, the training challenges were also significant.
Most of the refugees that are in this project have less than 1 year of formal education. The Hmong particularly were an oral culture until about 30 years ago. Although their culture is 6,000 years old, they never had a written language until 1955. So you can imagine the challenge in a classroom setting and even in the fields on how do you train, how do you educate people that really have no sense for what education is.
One of our focuses during the winter training program was to teach people more English, and that was fulfilled in that we had about 2.5 hours per day, 5 days a week for 4 months of English classes for the people.
Garlic.
We also tried to include practical or applied mathematical skills. The people have a very, very wide range of both English and math capabilities, and oftentimes they go pretty much hand in hand. Poor English skills, poor math skills, good English skills, good math skills.
210 and that the 0.0 nothing because you define 5,000.
They want to be successful, they want to change, they want to learn. What parts of their culture do we have to change for them to survive, and what should we not touch, because we're finding today that that we're trying to preserve cultures and the heritage where people came from.
Hmong New Year celebration, a time for traditional costumes, games, music, and ritual, bringing a resettled people together far from the mountains of Laos and the foothills and refugee camps of Thailand.
I feel very proud that we still have a chance to put on traditional clothing and hear music from our country. I feel very bad that in the future our children probably cannot play those music again and probably cannot have time to celebrate like this, or they do not want to put on our traditional clothing, or we will lose our culture.
April 15th. We start the farm. We need 60 people.
The staff prepared for the second season, stressing the project as a full-fledged business in which the refugees were more involved in decision-making.
One of the main lessons we learned from our first year experience in the field was the need to strengthen the sense of ownership of the farm by the refugees in the project. This had to be accomplished, in my opinion, through the development of the cooperative, that is, the Hmong Farming Cooperative. During the first winter, the project participants, who are all members of the co-op, elected from among themselves a 5-member co-op board of directors to give them that leadership and representation that they really needed.
Okay.
This, in my opinion, was extremely critical in the overall growth of the co-op, and has sort of changed the refugees from participants in a training program to becoming owners of their own farming business venture and accepting all the risks that go with that. We will train 3 tractor drivers, okay? The names you gave me were Chu Tao and Sai Chu Li. So we need a new name. Now the backup was Chu Yang. Chu Yang, big problems, huh? What do you think? Chu Yang, big problems.
Because of his leadership potential and skills, Chu Yang was elected to the co-op board. As Chu became more experienced as a manager, he found mechanical repair fitting into that leadership role.
I appreciate the opportunity to have a chance to be trained on how to fix the tractor, how to fix this machine, which now I feel I know a lot about mechanically.
In the spring of the second season, planting by machine rather than by hand gave Chu Yang and other refugee farm workers a practical sense that the long and oftentimes tedious winter classes were beginning to pay off.
Last year we didn't really have any machine and tools. This year we have our own equipment and operate by ourselves. It says to me that we can put the crop into the ground whenever we need it. Last year we didn't get to participate and recruit. But this year we have more helpers when we need the labor in the field. So this year is really different.
Last year, it's amazing that really anything was accomplished with the kind of equipment that they had. Most of the stuff was done strictly by hand. The produce was hauled in the back of station wagons or a pickup truck to the packing shed a couple miles away. This year we had a lot more in the way of a commitment for equipment purchases, so we were able to purchase the 2 transplanters and a couple of tractors and the support equipment that you really need to grow vegetables.
wonderful things that's happening is that the Hmong that were involved last year are teaching the Hmong that are newly involved this year. So, and that's really what we want to happen anyway, is that they take more control, more responsibility of the whole farming operation, and that is beginning to happen, and it's fantastic.
The refugee farmers also needed to know the basics of future farm planning, another facet of the American way of life, so different from the day-to-day lifestyle in their native land.
And it would be like someone like myself going in another country, not knowing a system at all, and going in there without any means of taking care of myself. And I'd be in a very delicate situation. I'd be very apprehensive about what happens tomorrow. That'd be my first thing. And we're saying, think of what's going to happen in your lifetime, and they're worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. That's difficult for those people. We try to keep coming back to what is our total mission in the project, and that is to get them into a system where they can earn a living and be self-sufficient.
To become self-sufficient, the refugee farmers are laboring to take their families off public assistance, another unfamiliar part of the American system.
The refugee get up by 5 o'clock and start driving to the farm, and they get there by 7:30. They work until 6 or 7 in the evening. This can tell that the refugee really like to become self-support, self-sufficient by themselves. They don't really dream about being on welfare for a lifetime. But at this point, how could they do? The refugee in this day are not proud as when they were back in their own country.
The Southeast Asian refugees in the Twin Cities number somewhere around 15,000 people. The refugees, for their part, are taking a risk in this project simply by getting involved in agriculture and trying to gain their economic self-sufficiency rather than just sitting back on welfare. I'm really proud of the willingness of the Agricultural Extension Service to get involved and work with these families because it answers their desire to work in an enterprise they love and an enterprise they understand, and that's farming.
Well, about Chu, when he first started, he didn't even know what is the tractor. He didn't even know how to pronounce or how to name those crops. But now he able to drive the tractor to plow the land, to get the land tilled, disc the land. I can see that he make a lot of progress, but he's still not as good as an American farmer yet, but I can see he would survive.
Yearly was involved in the winter training program. She's a very, very bright and talented woman, and I'm sure can help her husband a lot in the future as a farming team, as a farming family.
As you know, in this country, whatever can generate income, that is what you should do. So if this project is the right way to generate income for my family, then this is the one that I'm going to work for my lifetime.